What's up, guys? I'm Nick the Informative Fisherman on behalf of Lucky Tackle Box, and today I'm going to be breaking down YoZuri's Pencil 3DB. Oh my! Now people always ask me, Nick, I've fished a lot of pencil baits, but what makes that one unique? Today fishing the YoZuri Pencil, I've realized that it sits a little bit deeper in the water column, which it almost fishes like a heavier bait, which is nice, and it has a big single stainless knocker in there that shifts to the back cavity during casting, so I can get a far cast for a slightly smaller topwater bait. It's not as big as a lot of those out there, so you're going to get more strikes on it. And with that stainless ball in the back, you're going to be able to cast farther, and it's a single knock. Now, what a single knock does is it can draw the fish up from deeper. If you have more rattles, it tends to help in a little bit dirtier water, but that single knock, from my experience, will draw that fish up from a lot deeper to come and get it. And with that sitting slightly deeper in the water column, the nice part is, a lot of the time when a bass rolls at a topwater bait, they'll deflect it. They'll hit it with their tail and it'll flip up and fall out of the water or tangle up in your braid. But sitting deeper, it has more surface suction to where if they slap at it, I've noticed that bait doesn't come flying out of the water nearly as often as his other baits. Oh! That was another big one. Now let's get started with the rigging. I'm gonna throw it on a 7 to 7.5 foot medium heavy, fast to moderate fast action. What that's gonna allow me to do is impart that walk the dog. I'm throwing that on 50-pound braid. Some say, hey, 50-pound braid's overkill, but when I'm making a long cast, I want zero stretch. I wanna be able to hook that fish and move him out of whatever structure and cover he's on. That being said, I want a high-speed reel. The minimal I'm fishing this is a 7-speed reel. They have 8s now, you can fish it on that. You can clearly see how fast your bait's moving on top of the water. A lot of time if I see something roll, I wanna be able to get it in right real fast, move it on to the next spot, and hopefully catch a fish in that area. Now, what makes the YoZuri Pencil more unique is they have a 3D prism inside. What that's going to do is as that bait shifts and rotates, it's gonna reflect a whole lot more light in many different directions below versus a flat painted bottom, which is very unique for a topwater. If you're trying to draw fish from a distance, a lot of the time that extra reflection going every which direction is gonna call them in. At the same time, you'll notice the belly is rigid. This is wave technology that they're calling this. And you might argue that it's not making that much of a difference, but a lot of the time when I say walk a topwater in place when you're next to that timber, that right there, those ridges on the belly are gonna help that bait stop and not surge forward, and they're gonna cause a unique displacement, and we all know unique triggers strikes. So when it comes to retrieving the pencil bait here, you wanna cast it out, and you're gonna do a walk the dog type of method. If I just cast it and reel it straight, you can see this bait does absolutely nothing. The walk the dog, I'm going to slowly reel at the same time while throwing fast pulses into my rod tip. As you're gonna see, that bait's gonna start to surge back and forth, and it's gliding side to side. And that's when that pencil bait is at its best for attracting those fish to come up and eat it. You always wanna parallel your targets, whether that's a shade line, a rocky bank, a point. I'm gonna throw it just down the side here of this riprap bank, and I'm gonna parallel it right down to see if that fish is in that strike zone. Now you can look at the taper of the bank. Look at the contour, how it's going down. If the contour is going down steep into the water, more than likely it's gonna hold that bass closer to that bank. If it's a slower taper, more than likely it's gonna taper off slower, and there might be taller grass or bushes out there that you might wanna think about casting a little farther away from the bank and seeing if you can get them to come out of that sunken timber or out of that taller grass a little farther off. Steeper bank, fish closer, slower tapering bank, make it cast in, make it cast out, make it cast in until you figure it out. Now when it comes to conditions for working any topwater bait like the YoZuri Pencil 3DB here, low light conditions are always great. But that being said, you can also search out shade pockets in the middle of a sunny day or weeds just under the surface that are serving as canopies and shade cover for those bass and still bring it right over the top and catch those fish. So any conditions are suitable for the 3DB series in the Pencil. Along with those conditions, you can see the water right here is really dirty, so I'm really giving it a fast snap. I'm causing that ball bearing in there to hit real hard to the back of the bait
making a lot of commotion to draw those fish up in that dirty water, to make sure they can hear it and make sure they can feel it, to appeal to that lateral line, that sensation of letting them feel that bait and giving them a lot of audio at the same time, helping them hone it down in this stained water. You know, and the opposite of that also stands true. If I'm in clear, calm water, I'm gonna do more pull pause on my walk, really gentle, and I'm gonna throw longer pauses in. Let it stop, glide, let it stop, glide. It's more of a subtle presentation. In that cleaner, calmer water, they see things moving subtle up there, can get their curiosity going. A lot of the time in that cleaner, calmer water, you don't want to make nearly as aggressive of an action into your presentation. Sometimes you have to, but a good general rule is to go easy, smooth, add more pauses in that cleaner water. That will draw them up from a distance. If it's going too fast, a lot of the time they don't want to run it down if they're down deeper, because you can draw those fish from down deeper in that cleaner water. But in this dirty, I'm always going to start off with more of an aggressive snapping, give it a lot of audio, because in this dirty water, those fish are also going to move up shallow. The dirtier the water, the shallower the bass. You know, as you're moving down the bank, you have these long straightaways, and it's just a basic cast and retrieve. You keep walking the dog along that long straightaway or a riprap wall, but occasionally you'll come up to some lay down timber or a rock point sticking out along that wall. Something different. Something different tends to draw the bass. The bass will hold. If it's a long straightaway, that piece of wood or that rock point is more than likely a higher percentage area for holding a bass. So as I go by it, instead of just working my bait by it, what I want to do is I want to get it up close to that timber and really try to keep it in there. I want to keep it next to that key piece of structure or that key piece of cover longer to encourage that fish that may not have wanted to run it down to come out and get it, because it's staying right there in the strike zone, and it's just such an easy opportunity for them to come out and get. That's what I'm really trying to focus on. And also, don't just make one pass on that piece of cover that's critical. Make a few. Pick it apart. Really pick it apart, because a lot of the time a bass could be the inside, the middle, the bottom, in a shade pocket. Make a few extra casts for every piece of isolated structure or cover or anything unique. So where I see a lot of individuals going wrong when they're setting their drag or setting the hook on a pencil style bait, as you can see, this is 2 treble hooks right here. These are pretty large trebles, but still, if one hook penetrates, that's not much meat you're getting. It's not a large single hook. So you do want to utilize your drag. Also, when you're working it out there and you throw it out and you're walking it in and the fish takes a big boom and the fish swirls on it, do not set the hook. Continue to walk the dog. What that's going to do is a lot of bass are going to try to put out that warning strike or wound the prey first. If you pull it away, you're going to lose your opportunity you had at that bass grabbing your bait. Continue to walk the dog until that fish loads up on that bait and just lean into it. You have braid. All you need is that little bit of pressure with that rod loading up and just enough drag to where you could just take a little bit of tension and pull off some line right there. You don't want it completely locked up to where those treble hooks are going to tear free, but enough to where he can move it. And remember, don't set that hook. Let him load up, reel into him, and load the rod at that point, and you'll lose a heck of a lot less fish, and you're going to put more biggins in the boat. And that's the YoZuri 3DB pencil bait. If you like these videos and you want to watch more, make sure you check out the videos below that either I, myself, or Travis is doing, or one of the rest of the guys at Lucky Tackle Box. Make sure to check out our social media. We appreciate you watching, guys. We'll see you next time.